Although it's easy to go overboard with animation in PowerPoint, the effective and skillful use of animation can make a huge difference in the overall quality and impact of a PowerPoint presentation. In this screencast video, I'm going to be showing you how to master the custom animation tools in PowerPoint to make things appear and disappear whenever you want. Let's turn our attention to the PowerPoint interface. As you can see, I've opened up the custom animation PowerPoint exercise file, which you can find on the course website. There are only 2 slides in this file, but we're going to be using custom animation and practicing getting PowerPoint to do exactly what we want in terms of both text and image animation. So you can see in the notes pane down here that there are instructions for what you should do to complete this assignment for each of the slides. On this first slide, what we're going to be doing is animating the text so that each level in the hierarchy of the order of succession is revealed at the same time. To do this, we're going to go to the Animations tab in PowerPoint. And as you can see, everything is grayed out right now because we haven't told PowerPoint yet what it is that we want to animate. But before we do that, the first thing that you should always do when you begin using animation in PowerPoint is turn on the animation pane. And we're going to make it a little bit wider so that we can see everything that's happening in it. What the animation pane does is it shows you each item on your slide that has an animation associated with it, and it shows you in what order those animations will occur. So let's start, and we will animate the top of the order of succession first, which means we'll animate President Obama and the head of the Commonwealth, Elizabeth II. So we'll start by selecting the text President Obama, and we want to add an animation. There are a couple of ways that you can do this. The way that I like to do it is grabbing the Add Animation button here, and then you have a number of options. Now, there are 3 basic categories of animations. Entrance effects, those make your image or text appear on the slide. There are emphasis effects. These change some characteristic of your text or image. And then there are exit effects. And these animations make the text or image disappear from your screen. You can also do motion paths, and I encourage you to play with those. They can be very useful in some situations. I'm not going to be covering them in this video today, though. So what we want is we want to have President Obama's text appear on the screen. And there are a lot of different options of animations that you can use in PowerPoint. I will tell you that 99% of the time, appear or fade are the only animations that you should use in a professional presentation. Now, certainly there are some situations where you might want to have things flying in, but for the most part, that kind of movement is more distracting than it is helpful to your audience. So I'm going to decide to have this text fade in, and to stick with the principle of consistency that we've talked about multiple times in other videos, whatever animation you choose to use, you should be consistent at the very least on that slide and not have additional animation. So for example, I should not have President Obama appear with a fade and the head of the Commonwealth, Elizabeth II, just appear, okay? So keep those animations consistent. So we're going to use a fade for President Obama. And at the same time, we want the head of the Commonwealth, Elizabeth II, to appear. So we're going to add animation and have that fade in as well. So now let me show you what the animation pane is telling you. It's telling you that on the first mouse click, the text President Obama is going to fade in. And on the second mouse click, the head of the Commonwealth, Elizabeth II text is going to fade in. Now, we actually want both of these things to happen on the same mouse click. So to do that, what we'll do is we will select the second element of the animation, and we'll click on the drop-down arrow right over here. And this gives us a number of options. We can have it start on click, which is the way it's currently set. Let me show you what that looks like when we actually view the presentation. I'm going to change my view settings here. Let's see what that looks like when you actually view the video. Let's see what that looks like when you actually view the presentation. So if I launch the presentation, obviously I only have animated the first line of text at this point, so everything else is just there. But on my first click, I see President Obama, and on my second click, I see the head of the Commonwealth, Elizabeth II. Now, if I want those to happen on the same click, I'm going to click on the drop-down menu here and change it to Start with Previous. So now what you see is on the first click, both President Obama and Head of the Commonwealth are going to appear. So if I launch my presentation again, on the first click, I get them both appearing at the same time. And that's exactly what I want to happen. Now, to make this cascade throughout the order of succession, I need to do this multiple times. And I know this is repetitive, but this is a good way to learn to do the custom animation techniques in PowerPoint. So now I have the Vice President and the Prince of Wales, Charles. On the Prince of Wales, I'm going to do Start with Previous, so they happen on the same click. And you can see here in the interface, it's highlighting for you the animation. So on the first click, this text, President Obama, will appear. On the second click, this text, Vice President Biden, will appear. And you can see on this side as well, those are matched. You can really have as many elements on the slide appear together as you would like. And in fact, if I wanted the next two lines to appear at the same time, I could select both of them, select Add Animation, Fade, and you would see that it just puts them in together in a click. We're going to go through and finish this. So on click 3, Speaker of the House, Boehner, should fade in, along with Prince William. We want those to happen on the same click, so I'm going to click on the drop-down menu, Start with Previous. Fourth, President Pro Tem of the Senate, and the Prince of Wales, Henry. We want those to happen on the same click. Secretary of State, Kerry, and the Duke of York, Andrew. Fade in. Again, we want those to happen on the same click. Start with Previous. Secretary of the Treasury, Lou. And the Princess of York, Beatrice. And again, we want them to happen at the same time. So now, if we launch our presentation, we can see that our animation is working exactly as we want it to. Click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Now, the nice thing about the animation pane is if later I decide that I want these to happen in a different order, I can simply click and drag these elements around so that they occur in the order that I want them to. So let's say I want this to happen in a reverse order. I can click each of these, move them up, and have them appear in reverse order. So now I have, starting at the bottom, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of State, the Prince of Wales, Speaker of the House, Vice President Biden, and President Obama, along with Elizabeth II. So the animation pane gives you the flexibility to change the order of your animation at a later time. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we're done with this slide. So when you submit it, you should have all of the custom animations set, and you should then reverse the order. So you can either do that when you first set your animations in reverse order, or you can set them in normal order and then reverse them later in the animation pane. In this second slide, we're going to be working a little bit with graphics. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how to go about finding your images on the internet and then use them in PowerPoint. So let's start with, there are 5 fruits that I enjoy eating. So I'm going to insert my name, insert your name, and you can pick 5 fruits. Okay, I'm going to select my 5 favorite fruits, but you should select 5 fruits that you actually enjoy. So your slide will look a little bit different from mine because you may select different fruits and different images, but the principle will be the same. So what we first want to do is we want to identify the 5 fruits that we will do. I'm going to choose bananas and mango, papaya, oranges, and grapes. Now, for the principle of consistency, I probably need to make each of these plural. So bananas, mangoes, papaya, oranges, and grapes. Does mangoes have an E in it? Maybe not. That's something that I should check before I show this to an audience. I'm going to save it now that I have my text in there. And if you look at the instructions, what we now need to do is we need to find an image of each of these fruits and set up custom animation so that we have a list of fruits that appears one at a time, along with a picture of each fruit as it is revealed. So let's go find an image of bananas first. I'm going to use Google image search for this because I think it makes it pretty easy. Let's go to search for some bananas. Now, one thing that you'll want to do whenever you search for images online, if you have the option, is make sure that you're looking for images that have a high enough resolution so that you can use them on your slide without stretching them. So if I look at these, some of these are very large. Others are quite small, like this one from choosemyplate.gov. You can see right here, it's telling you the resolution of that image, 384 pixels by 314 pixels. As a general rule, if I want an image to be fairly large on my screen, I try and have images that are more than 800 pixels, and often I'll get the biggest resolution image I can find and then shrink it down. That will give you the crispest images on your screen. So one thing you can do in Google Images to force it to search for those larger, higher resolution images is click on Search Tools, and we're going to change any size to large. And that'll change the pictures that are shown, but you'll see if we look at the pixel size of all of these that are being displayed now, they're all fairly large. So I'm going to find an image that looks like I can easily remove the white background, just in case I have some layering issues. I think this one looks pretty good. I really like the looks of this one from manleemama.com. We'll need to remember that because we need to cite this image. So I'm going to go ahead, now that it's here, and view original image. Google will open that image in its own page. Now there are a couple of things that I can do. I can save this image and then insert it into my PowerPoint, or I could just copy and paste it. I often think it's cleaner to save the original source images, so I'm going to save image as. I'm going to put it on my desktop in a folder called Images. You've seen some of these images before, and we're going to call this Animation. So I'm just going to pop these bananas right in there, and we're going to go looking for the other fruits. So next, we're going to try and find a good image of some mangoes. And we still have our large setting turned on, so that's good. So that means that all the images that we'll see are of sufficient resolution to look good on our slide. MangoManiaFL.com. We probably should be putting these citations into our slide as we download them. So I'm going to save this. It's a mango. perfect. And this is from floridascreativecoast.com. floridascreativecoast.com. So I'm going to pop into here, and I'm going to say photo credit. And which one was it? floridascreativecoast.com is where that image actually comes from. Florida's, we'll do it all lowercase. Now I need to go figure out where that banana came from and remember to add that. Okay, so that was from manlymama.com with 2 N's in manly. I'll put this in order. manlymama.com. All right, we need some papayas now. Oh, I like that image of a papaya from floridahillnursery.com. We're going to, oh, that one has a watermark, so that's not an image that we should use in our presentation. Let's try and find another one. That one looks pretty good. harvext.com. View original image. Okay, we're going to save this image as, this is papaya. harvext.com. So we're going to add that into our image citation. What do we need next? We need oranges. Oh, there's a nice orange from freegrapepicture.com. Now, one of the nice things about freegrapepicture.com is that all of their images are royalty-free, which means I can use this image and I do not need to cite it. So I'm going to download this picture, and they make you wait for it because ultimately they want you to pay for some of their other things that they offer. Let's wait for that to download. And we'll call this orange. And since it's a royalty-free image in this case, we do not need to cite it on our slide. So we've got our oranges, and now we're going to look for grapes. All right, some nice green grapes. Let's view the original image. And with Wikipedia, some images in the Wikimedia empire are royalty-free, some are not. Some require attribution. So this one, taken by, use this image. Okay, so we can see the licensing and copyright image. This image is not in the public domain. This is a Creative Commons image. So that means you may use it non-commercially, which is the way that we're using it, by, that's the attribution tag. So we need to attribute this image to FUR002 Flagstaff photos. So I'm just going to copy that text right there, and I'm going to paste it right into my attribution. There we go. And so anyone who searches for FUR002 Flagstaff photos is going to find the photographer that actually created this image of the grapes. So I'm going to click on the large version, table grapes on white, save this image as grapes, and we have collected all of the images that we'll need for our custom animation PowerPoint. Now, what we're going to do is actually start inserting these images and setting up the custom animation as we go. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to click on this side over here, and I'm going to insert a picture. I'm going to go to my desktop, to that images folder, to the animation folder, and we're going to start with bananas because that's the first picture that we have. And I might make this a little bit larger. This is an image that does not have a background. Its background is already white. But you'll notice that if I move it up too high, that you can see that white background around it. And maybe in the future, I might want to change the theme of this presentation to one that would have a non-white background. So I think it's always a good idea to remove backgrounds even when they're white and aren't going to show up. So we're going to go to Picture Tools, Remove Background. You've seen how to do this before. We'll drag the edges out, up, so that we contain all of the bananas. And this is a nice, clean, high-resolution image. So it's done a very nice job removing the background, even the shadows. We're going to keep changes, and now we have an image that we can move in front of text or over a background and not have any problems with. Okay, so we've got our bananas. Now let's set up our animation for the bananas text appearing along with the image. So I'm going to select bananas, going to go back to my animations window, add an animation, fade in. I want the bananas to also fade in, so I click on the image, add animation, fade in. Now we have the two things. I want those to happen on the same click. So I'm going to drop down, start with previous. Now if I look at my presentation, let's go to this slide. If I look at my presentation, I can see that bananas appears along with the image of the bananas. That's great. Let's move on to mangoes. So the next thing that we want to have happen is we want the text of mangoes to appear. So let's add animation, fade in. We want the image of a mango to appear. So let's insert a picture, the mango. Beautiful. You can see we have a white background here again. So once again, I'm going to remove the background. Okay, looking pretty good here. There's a little bit of around the edge, so I'm going to mark areas to remove. Get rid of that. I think that looks pretty good. It should look fine on our white background. Keep the changes. All right. So we have our nice mango, and I'm going to keep it at about the same size as the bananas, so maybe just a little bit smaller on the screen. Perfect. So we want the mango image to appear, so we're going to go back to animations, add animation, fade in. But there's one more thing that needs to happen. We can still see the bananas back there, so we want the bananas to disappear, or at least to disappear while the mango fades in. So I'm going to select the bananas, and I'm going to add an animation, and this is going to be an exit animation. So I'm going to have the bananas fade out. Okay? Now I want all three of those things to happen at once. You can see here the mango's text appears, the mango picture appears, and the bananas picture disappears. So I'm going to select each of those, click the drop-down list, start with previous. So let's double check and make sure that we've done it properly. If I view the slide, bananas appear, bananas disappear, and the mango appears. Perfect. We are on track. Papayas are next. We're going to add the animation, fade in. Since we have the mango right in view, I'm going to add the animation that makes that fade out. And then we need to also add our papaya. So I'm going to insert a picture, papaya. That's in there. Again, we have that white background. So we're going to use Picture Tools, Remove Background. It's doing a pretty good job because we've chosen high resolution images with solid backgrounds. Okay, we're going to want to get rid of some of this. Mark areas to remove. I'm going to just draw a line through that. That gets rid of that. Draw a line through that. We added a little bit. Let's mark an area to keep. I want that little part. Okay, perfect. And we're going to also remove this little triangle in the middle. Mark areas to remove. Let's see if we can get that cleaned up. Sometimes you might have to click quite a lot, and you won't quite know if you're getting what you want until you say keep changes. And that looks pretty good. We've got our mangoes. Okay, so I'm going to size that approximately the same size as all my other fruit images. And we're going to add the animation back on the Animations tab. Fade in. So we've got those next three things happening. I'm going to hold down Control to select the two at once. Click on the drop down, start with previous. Let's check one more time and make sure. Bananas, mangoes, papayas. All right, things are looking good. Next are oranges. I'm going to select the orange text, add animation, fade in. We're going to get the papaya to fade out. And now we're going to insert our picture of the orange. Oh, now this is kind of small. It seems like it's much smaller. Let's look at our size. Why is this size so small? It's at 100%. So this image actually isn't large enough. We would have to stretch it to make it the same size as the other images here. So because of that, we're now at scale height of 171%. That is far too large. Anything over 100% is too big. So we need to actually go out and find a better image of an orange. So let's go back to our Google image search. We're going to look for oranges. We're going to make sure that our size is large. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Let's do this one. Make sure there's no watermarks. Only hdwallpapers.com. Nope, I don't see it. Let's see. View original image. Looks like that is a false link, so we'll skip that. Go back to oranges. Let's do this one. publicdomainpictures.net. Perfect. Just like the orange site, this is a public domain picture, so we will not need to add any citations to our slide. Going to insert picture, orange. There we go. That's more the size that we want. And again, we're going to remove the background. We'll use the mark areas to remove, to get rid of all of these little extras around the outside of our orange, shadows and things. All right, it's looking pretty good. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to keep those changes. Got our nice oranges. Move that in. That's about the right size. So our next animation, go to Animations, Add Animation, Fade In. Beautiful. Now we've got those three all together. I'm going to click on two of them. Start with Previous. We're going to check our work every time. Bananas, click 1. Mangoes, click 2. Papayas, click 3. Oranges, click 4. All right, we are looking good. We've got one more to do, and that is grapes. So let's go ahead and grab the grapes, add animation, fade in. We're going to insert our image. Don't want a new slide, we want a picture. Grapes. We'll remove that background one more time. Oh, these grapes are looking pretty good. Okay, we want to mark areas to remove and get rid of some of these white sections in here, so it's nice and clean. Okay, I think we're looking pretty good there. Get rid of these shadows as well. Want to make sure you have nice clean edges on your background removed images. Okay, we'll keep those changes, shrink that down just a bit, put that in there. Animations, add animation, fade in. Perfect. And then we need to make the oranges go away. So we'll grab, is that the oranges? Nope, that's still the grapes. Grab the oranges, That's the oranges. Add animation, fade out. Perfect. And we'll hold down Control to select both of those. Start with previous, and we are done. Okay, so when you submit this file, you should make sure that all of the animations are done and they look just like this. Bananas, mangoes, papaya, oranges, grapes. Now, you may have different fruits and different images, and that's perfectly fine. But make sure that you've set up the custom animation so that those elements appear and disappear on single clicks. You shouldn't have to click 15 times to get through your slide.